What do you think about marijuana?
I think that it's a drug that a lot of people use recreationally that has some possibly beneficial effects for people with cancer and other chronic illnesses, and I think that it's worth it to at least pursue that research.
I feel like marijuana is just like any other herb that grows in America or being sold in America. Um, Personally, I like it as a smoker. Um, it doesn't cause any harm that I know of, but yeah.
What I think about marijuana is honestly, I don't really see the harm in the drug. I feel as if a lot of laws are being placed on a drug that can almost be compared to like tobacco or alcohol. Like we know both those things, both those substances can harm us, can ultimately kill us, and yet it's completely legalized. So for me, I don't really see why marijuana is being put such a big bad role with. I feel as if it can be used for, recreational purposes, for medicinal purposes, and I honestly I have nothing against marijuana.
Name a vacation destination you affiliate with marijuana and why.
I would say Jamaica because I feel like the laws there are not nearly as strict as they are in the states, and they wouldn't have as many problems with drugs.
I guess Jamaica, just because of pop culture references. Yes, that's it.
I would say Amsterdam just because I've heard firsthand from a lot of people who visited there that they're much more progressive in their views of and use of marijuana and much more free.
Well, of course, I'm going to associate it with Jamaica, my where I'm from. I mean, it is legal to smoke there. There's no problem smoking there. People smoke marijuana in Jamaica openly without any problem because it's something we do naturally. So, yeah.
A vacation destination definitely has to be Jamaica. Yo, Bob Marley, the whole atmosphere, the whole everything, definitely Jamaica.
Do you think there is a United Nations drug control regime and why? I think the United Nations probably does control certain drugs, but I don't think marijuana is one of them.
I think so because America has the DEA, and I think the world as a whole should have some kind of control over drugs being trafficked and such.
I'm not aware of it, but I'm sure that there is a restriction on marijuana use. However, it's probably up to the individual countries rather than the actual governing body of the UN.
There definitely is a drug control regime. I know that drugs are classified between classes and like substances and which is harmful, which isn't. I really don't know what the schedule is with drugs. I feel like people are making billions of dollars off of drugs. And at the end of the day, I'm like, yo, you really you can reprimand people for taking drugs in terms of like, okay, you're gonna send them off to jail. But at the end of the day, it's like, yo, it's their personal choice what they do to their body at the end of the day. Do I feel like we need stricter drug laws? Yes. I feel like getting drugs is too easy or it's too harmful. Like, I honestly don't know what the whole laws behind drugs are. I don't really know, what is the future goals for these laws. I feel like a lot of people are being put in jail for drug offenses. Yes, it's wrong. Yes, they are harming a lot of people, but I feel like then we have, people who've murdered individuals that we know have murdered individuals, and yet they're getting a lighter sentence than someone who's just selling drugs. So I honestly don't know what the whole regimen is with drugs, but I do think we do need like a whole reform on it.
Do you think some countries utilize capital punishment for those guilty of marijuana use?
I think so because a lot of more strict, like Middle Eastern and Asian countries have much more severe punishments for crimes less than drugs, so I can only imagine what their punishment would be for drugs.
What countries do you think would do so?
Countries like Iraq, Iran. Can you guess over again?
No. Why not? I think that's a very harsh punishment for marijuana use.
I feel like America does that because, you know, one, is not legal in America, or in New Jersey to smoke marijuana. And I feel like what is the harm, you know, is basically like drinking, you know, just don't do the stuff, like don't smoke weed and drive, you know, stuff like that. Um like, you know, like there's stuff in New York where it's like you have to have a certain amount of weed, and if you don't, well, marijuana, and if you have more than that, then, you know, you could be arrested for intent to sell, which I think is stupid. You know, people do buy marijuana just to smoke it. Like, I don't see what the problem is. I don't see how marijuana is harmful to anyone unless, you know, you probably have like an allergic reaction or something to it. But like for those who, you know, smoke regularly or like enjoy, you know, marijuana, because they are using it for, you know, medical purposes. So I feel as though, why should people that use marijuana should be punished? I find it ridiculous.
Honestly, I'm not personally aware of countries who might use capital punishment for the use of marijuana. I can't really imagine countries who do. Maybe, I don't know, communist countries. But to my knowledge, I honestly don't know.
Yes, I do think that there are countries that do.
Why?
I don't know why.
Do you think that the U.S. is more or less progressive compared to other countries on marijuana policy?
Well, I don't really know much about marijuana policy in other countries, but I'm assuming they're more lenient than the U.S. So I think the U.S. is more strict in marijuana policy.
I would say we're in the middle because there are many countries that marijuana is already legal in and has been legal for a few years, and we have only up to like, I think less than 10 states that are legal right now, but in other countries marijuana is nowhere near legal, so I think we'd be somewhere in the middle.
Cool. Thank you.
I would say slightly less. However, after the election, it seems that more states are falling in terms of which ones regulate marijuana and which permit it to be used recreationally. So I think that it's not a far jump until it's legal on a federal level.
States has become more progressive in terms of how it's handling marijuana use. I think that with like the legalization of marijuana use, medicinal first in so many countries, in so many states, excuse me, I feel like slowly but surely, you know, the community society is gonna see marijuana as like an everyday thing, sort of like how we see like, okay, this is a known smoking area versus, okay, you can go out and take your smoke here or there, but this time people are just gonna be, instead of smoking cigarettes, they're gonna be smoking marijuana. I think that within the next 50 years, we're gonna see a lot of people being more exposed to marijuana. And I don't know if it's gonna be a good thing. I feel like hopefully at least people won't be put in jail for like the rest of their life for selling such a thing as marijuana. I don't think that's the proper punishment, but I mean, only the future can tell what happens.
I mean, there are places that have passed marijuana policies saying that, you know, it is legal, but I feel like, because some country only passed it because it is used for medical purposes only, but I don't feel like anyone has made a progress, you know, because they only did it so that they have an excuse as to why they could prescribe people marijuana medications or whatever you want to associate that with. But I feel like America, I don't feel like America has even touched upon the topic of making it illegal in the way that I think they should, you know? So, and yeah, marijuana is fun. Everyone should do it. I don't care.
Why do you think countries have marijuana laws?
Well, I think probably for the medicinal use, but also some cultures are probably more accepting of it, so it's just a part of their, like it's just a part of their culture to smoke marijuana.
I think a lot of those Middle Eastern countries are very religious, and drugs go against all of their, like the Quran and all that, and they definitely don't want people smoking in their country.
I think that marijuana is something that can possibly result in accidents and injuries, reduce work time performance, and other factors, so it's wise for them to regulate that.
I mean, like I said before, it's kind of like drinking and driving. You have law in place so that it won't be abuse. It won't be abused as much. So like, I mean, if there isn't a rule in place for marijuana, anybody could do anything with it. So like for drinking alcohol or something like that, if there wasn't a rule saying don't drink and drive, people will drink and drive and then cause harm to other people. So I feel like there are laws like that to, kind of set like a stepping stone, like don't do these things. But I feel like these laws are necessary, but I feel like marijuana shouldn't be illegal, because if drinking isn't illegal, then why should marijuana be illegal? And I feel like drinking causes more harm than when a person smokes marijuana,